Welcome back. This is part 2 of the Final Destination series, and if you haven't seen the first part, then head over to my channel or below in the description and click on part 1. We're continuing on with the sequel that no one likes, Final Destination 4: The CGI Nightmare. This was supposed to be the last installment in the franchise, and it would be a shame if it was, because this one left a lot to be desired. The deaths were weird and didn't really make an impact the way the other deaths have in the franchise, but I digress. Let's take a look at all of the deaths in Final Destination 4. Before we start, remember to like and subscribe, it really helps out the channel. Let's get started. So the newest member being inducted into the Telepathic Death Prediction Club is Nick. During a NASCAR race, he has a vision. In this vision, a sharp tool falls from one of the cars. Another car's tire runs over the sharp object, and it's left spinning in the air out of control. A tire hilariously hits a woman in the face and makes her head explode in the dumbest sequence ever. On top of that, the crowd sounds like stock audio, making the scene even more dopey. Anyway, the other cars on the track are out of control and one catches fire. That same car flips into the stand and crushes an audience member. God, honestly, this is so stupid. A piece of another car that has broken off shoots into the stands like a rocket and severs 2 other audience members at the waist. A woman is trampled on her way out of the stands in a mass stampede. She doesn't do much work to get back up though, so honestly, that's what she gets. She turns around after everyone has gotten off of her, and she is impaled by a car's fucking engine. The husband of the woman who lost her head when the tire flew into the stands lands on a broken piece of bench that had broken off and was sticking upwards. The piece is sharp enough that it goes through his head and comes out of his mouth in a lame 3D sequence. A cowboy gets struck by some part of a car, or the entire car, I don't really know, but he's for sure gone. A security guard ushers Nick and his girlfriend to an exit. While the seat area collapses onto others trying to escape, this includes our main protagonist's friends. An explosion happens and Nick's girlfriend, as well as the security guard, are both caught in the flames. Nick is thrust onto a metal piece and ultimately killed, ending the vision. Nick comes back to reality and realizes that he's in the same scenario that he was before and starts to panic. As Nick tries to escape, he gets into it with the people around him and they all get kicked out of the stadium. The security guard, Nick, and his friends, and some strangers all stand outside of the stadium as they hear the epic crash start to unfold. And I'm going to tell you right now, most of these characters are not developed enough to receive formal names, and on IMDb, they're named nicknames instead of their formal names, so I'm going to use those informal names for them during this video because I think it's funnier and it's well deserved. It honestly just totally represents the shallowness of their characterizations in this movie. That being said, racist guy, yes, that's how he's labeled on IMDb, told his idiot wife to stay behind, and she was killed in the accident. Mechanic's girlfriend, or wife, I think she's a wife, dies in the same way she would have if she had stayed at the stadium, a tire to the head. It comes flying through the air outside of the stadium and hits her. 2 down already. Nick gets a really stupid vision while he sleeps of some shit just floating around in the ether, just a bunch of random things really. Also, the sound design and music in this movie are garbage. Turns out Nick was dreaming about racist guy, and he is the first to die outside of the incident when he drives his tow truck to the security guard's house and tries to put up a burning cross. Because racist. Unfortunately for him, he leaves his truck running, and when he tries to stop it, the chain and hook drag behind and cuff him by the pant leg, dragging him on the road. The metal creates a spark that lights the leaked gasoline, and racist is ignited. He's dragged burning through the streets. Next on death's list is MILF. She is the mother of the 2 boys who ended up surviving the car crash because Final Destination would never X out children like that. She's getting her hair done at a salon with her boys, and death creeps around the landscape, causing all kinds of things to appear ominous. She gets up to leave, and as a worker is mowing the lawn next to the salon, a rock gets stuck underneath the mower and flies into MILF's eye, killing her instantly. So this entire movie, Nick is just seeing random CGI objects as clues to who is next. I don't want to repeat that. There's really nothing mysterious about it or anything. There's nothing more to it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Death's list continues with Mechanic. He's the one who actually lost his wife to that insane tire incident at the stadium. He's working in a garage where OSHA would have a field day because I don't think a single regulation is being followed. Nick and his girlfriend, along with the security guard, go outside to talk with Mechanic. Mechanic stands at the fence and talks to them through it. We get a tiny bit of character development before it's cut short, and Mechanic is hit by a, helium tank. It slams him up against a fence and rips his body to pieces as they slide through it. Because apparently he didn't have any bones or anything, just skin and blood inside that guy. Hunt's death is next, and it's gut-wrenching. No pun intended. When he goes to a public swimming pool, the drain is so strong that his entire body is sucked into it. When the pressure intensifies as his bottom makes a seal around the area, he's disemboweled and his entrails fly all over the concrete. Meanwhile, Janet is taking her car through the car wash when the thing malfunctions. As it fills her car with water, Janet almost drowns, but Nick is there to save her. The cowboy is next, and while he is in the hospital incapacitated, he is sitting below a physical therapy room. At the most neglectful hospital in the world, they have a patient sitting in a therapy tub that is overflowing. The overflow is so bad, and the floor is so unstable that Cowboy is left fighting to get out of his bed because the leak has threatened to execute him. In a turn of events, the entire tub just lands on him, crushing him. As the security guard is walking out of the hospital, he's taken out by an ambulance at the same shitty hospital. It just runs over his ass out of absolutely nowhere. Nick and his girlfriend are last, and they know what's up now and plan to cheat death. Nick's girly friend gets a premonition at the movie theater. Why she's at the movie theater when everyone around her is dying in quick succession, I have no clue. She sees a vision of the movie theater exploding, and in the vision she asks Janet to come with her, but Janet is just dying to see this movie.
We have to leave right now. No, I can't keep doing this, okay? You're both nuts.
The girly friend also sees her own demise on an escalator. It was pretty brutal, honestly. But that never happens because they put out the fire before it can explode, and all of our friends survive due to her vision. One day, our friends are sitting at a coffee shop, and there is a bad feeling amongst them. Turns out they were meant to get run over by a semi while in the coffee shop. I am honestly so glad I'm done talking about that. Say what you want to about the other Final Destination installments, but this one is by far a total mess. Definitely the worst. Now on to a better Final Destination, one that most people like, with excellent kills, better storylines, and better character development. This is Final Destination Tom Cruise Dave Franco guy. Our new friends work at a paper printing company, and they are on the road to a company retreat or something. Sam, Molly, Peter, Olivia, Isaac, Nathan, Dennis, and Candace are all on a bus to that retreat. Sam gets a vision that the bridge that they're on is going to collapse. Seeing road work being done and large gaping holes in the bridge is the trigger. In his vision, he sees Candace die first. When the friends realize that the bridge is collapsing, they get off the bus immediately. Candace falls off the bridge when she lands on an unsteady piece of concrete as Peter looks on. She is ultimately impaled by a boat's staff down below. Isaac, still on the bus, gets pinned to the front windshield and is killed when the bus slides into the water below. Olivia is next, and when she tries to tightrope walk across a beam after Molly without her glasses, she's thrown into the water below. A car then lands on her after she leaves that situation alive, killing her instantly. In a kind of hilarious, sad moment, Nathan, running as fast as he can, is taken out by a metal suspension rope thingy. He is eviscerated on impact. Dennis, who was running with Nathan, becomes the next victim when he falls and clings to the side of the bridge. He has a hot tar truck in front of him, and the hot tar truck dumps onto his face. His skin separates from his hands as he slides into the water. It's pretty gruesome. Peter is clinging to a broken part of the bridge with Sam when he is impaled with several metal rods and he falls into the water. Sam is the last person to see Death's mighty hand, and he is cut in half with a sheet metal when it gashes him. He comes to in the bus and tells everyone they need to get off. All of his friends exit the vehicle and are unharmed as they watch the chaos from the sideline. Almost immediately, things get weird when Sam and our friends encounter Bludworth, who just says a bunch of spooky shit like usual. This also introduces us to a detective that really doesn't do much of anything. Our first victim after the accident is Candace. Candace is on a gymnastics team, and she is working on her competition routine. Her boyfriend, Peter, is there to encourage her. She's having a tough time after everything that has happened, and so he's there to really give her moral support. A loose screw falls onto the gymnastics beam, and Candace narrowly misses it when she's doing her routine. When she takes her spot on the uneven bars, a fellow gymnast starts her routine on the same beam Candace was on. She steps on the screw and falls off of the beam. This blows the hand dust stuff into Candace's face while she is practicing, and she misses her grab at the bar. She lands on her face and stomach with her spine fully folded in onto itself, causing her death. Peter is devastated and really, really mad. The remaining friends gather at the paper company and talk about what a crazy week it's been, while also contemplating their job status. When Isaac rifles through the desks of one of his co-workers that had died in the crash, he finds a coupon for a massage parlor. Being a pervert, he goes to the parlor thinking he's going to get a quote-unquote good time, and he does. He is on the table with an acupuncture needle in his face and acupuncture needles all over his body. Some incense start a fire, causing an explosion, which lands Isaac on the floor, impaled by those needles. He gets up to leave, and an even bigger fire starts in front of the doorway. But as he lays there, feeling like he may have cheated death, a shelf falls above him, and he is crushed by a large Buddha statue, crushing his head. Olivia visits the eye doctor, believing that it's finally time to make changes in her life after her near-death experience. She is nervous and grasps at a teddy bear to quell her sense of impending doom. The eye doctor places her under the laser and pries her eyes open with a lid speculum. She is also placed in a contraption that stabilizes her head. The doc has incomplete records and steps out to get updates. When he does this, the laser beam increases and turns on by itself when the lever falls on the ground. Olivia is accosted by the painful beam directly in her eye and on her hand. She escapes the seat, and in her haste, she trips, falls, and goes through the building's window, falling onto a car below. Next, we see Nathan at the factory portion of the paper company. He is the manager there and is having a problem with one of his employees. He calls this employee up to a spot in the area where they work. He didn't notice a rogue piece of machinery when he came up there, but at this time, it's coming straight for them as they're talking. He attempts to get the employee to move out of the way, but this guy is so brutish and on one that he refuses to listen. The employee is struck by this hook and has now intervened in Nathan's death, unintentionally, of course. Concerned about what's going on, paper manager Dennis comes to check out the situation. This leads to his death when a wrench is hurled at his head, killing him instantly. This just leaves Sam and Peter remaining on death's short list. Peter and Sam realize that they can have someone intervene in their deaths, either by killing them themselves or by them just kind of being in the way of their death. Sam decides to go to work because death is all around them, so why not just live life the way you usually do with no interruption? Molly comes in at the end of his shift and he bakes her a special dessert. They talk about their futures, going to Paris for his job together, and taking leaps they may not have otherwise, when Peter walks in. He's clearly agitated and he talks about how he could never kill a stranger to help him live longer. He also mentions that he's okay with killing someone who he thinks deserves to die, which is apparently Molly. Molly, Sam, and Peter scuffle through the back portion of the restaurant. Peter has a gun and threatens to kill Molly with it. The detective that's been following the group since the bridge collapse shows up on a hunch that Dennis provided about Peter being unhinged. Peter kills him, taking himself off of Death's list. He vows to kill Molly anyway because she's seen him kill the officer. Sam intervenes with some sort of restaurant trident and kills Peter. In the next scene, we watch as Sam and Molly board a plane to Paris. Things seem off, but the friends assume that they are in the clear, until they see a fight break out. Several people are escorted off the plane. The plane takes off, and someone asks the stewardess what the incident was about. The stewardess claims that someone had a vision that the plane would blow up. Realizing their peril, Sam and Molly start to freak out. The plane then suffers a catastrophic explosion, sending Molly into the night sky, but not before hitting her against the plane's wing. Sam gets a face full of fire. In the last part of the movie, we follow Nathan to a bar where they are memorializing the employee who died. Someone makes a comment to Nathan that the coroner suggested this employee could have died at any time because he had an aneurysm just waiting to burst. Nathan takes that in for a second before the engine from the plane, Flight 180, crashes through the bar and hits him. This was actually a surprise prequel all along, and this story kicked off Death's Design, ending the series at least for now. Let's get into some Final Destination theories. The first theory is the theory that Bludworth is Death himself. We see Bludworth skulking around in most of the movies, making shadowy warnings to our unlucky groups. But how does he know so much about Death's design? Bludworth works in Death, and you could argue that he's just seen a lot of this come to pass. Him being the physical embodiment of Death seems like a long shot. I'm not saying that Bludworth doesn't have a paranormal connection to Death. No, I believe it's exactly that. I think that he has some sort of connection to Death, which is why he chose his current line of work. Plus, the producer said he isn't, so that's that on that. The next theory is that Death's design is larger than just the incidences in the premonition. Clearly, Death doesn't want our friends to escape. I mean, why else would it chase them down? This theory states that Death is revealing its hand so that the premonition can actually lead to deaths other than the people within that premonition. The chapters never quite close, and the process is endless with tons of people and stories interweaved within. I definitely should have said interwoven, but whatever. Death can kill more by sending these people out into the public to potentially become killers themselves, or to spark even larger death events. And this seems plausible because Death's design constantly asks that one person take the life of another to save themselves, only for that person to die in the end anyway. The next theory is that the visions are actually a part of Death's ultimate design. Instead of Death warning people to change things, Death is actually setting into motion what was already supposed to happen. The best example of this is when Frankie Cheeks gets off the roller coaster when Wendy has her vision in Final Destination 3. Frankie Cheeks is the entire reason why the roller coaster crashes in the first place. So how did the roller coaster crash without him on it? It's because when Death was shown to Wendy, it was shown in a way that Frankie Cheeks would cause everything, but really ultimately Death had a different design that required Frankie Cheeks to get the fuck off the roller coaster. To me, this is a pretty compelling theory, and it sheds light on some plot holes that may exist in the Final Destination universe. This also leads into the theory that it's impossible to defeat Death. This is because you never truly know what Death's design is. It could be what you're going toward, it could be what you've avoided. But what do you think? Anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe so you can see more videos like this. I will see you in the afterlife. Goodbye.
We just lost a really hot MILF.
Dude, this is serious.